Thank you for joining us for part two of our two-part interview with LaWanda Felder, a 911 operator. This will conclude the interview.
Mm, well
So,
said.
yes, very, very well said. Um, I do have a question. So, you had many years of person to person, face to face customer service discussion skills. Um, I think another thing outside of the technology that makes people hesitant to want to apply to do 911 or dispatching is they fear that they won't be able to talk people through those most difficult days of their life. So I guess my question is for you, someone who had more than a quarter century of face-to-face interactions with people that were customers at the library system, how do you feel that that translated over to the phone system, which is a much different system? And I imagine that you uh, probably have heard a lot more negative things in the 3 years as a call taker than you did in 27 years as a in the library system.
Well, it's funny because I was well acquainted with calling 911, having to have called 911 on several occasions at the library. I mean, everybody thinks that libraries are vaunted areas of education and
Yes.
you know, no, it's a lot of people fighting over the computer uh, to check their Facebook. A lot of homeless individuals checking their Facebook and getting angry about the time. So I was well versed in calling 911, but I would say as far as how I utilize my experience in the libraries, yeah, many of the things that we deal over the phone with, in many cases, we're dealing in real time in the library face to face, and there's no barrier of a phone.
Amen.
So, dealing with, as I said, people who may have mental issues, dealing with people who, like I said, they're homeless, and so you're dealing with the stress of that. And then all I'm wanting to do is get on this computer and check in and decompress,
Mhm.
uh, forget for a moment that I'm having to struggle out in the streets. And you're telling me I gotta wait an hour before I can get on the computer to check my Facebook and maybe laugh at some cat videos. Really? That's what you're telling me right now?
Mhm.
So, dealing with what we call the disturbance other, where people are arguing with the staff or arguing with other people, which can turn into a disturbance hotshot of somebody fighting over the
Mhm.
computers. Um, Also dealing with people, struggling mentally, crying, trying to children lost. I don't know where my mom is. She told me to sit here and wait for this, and then the library closing, and then you're trying to find the parent, and then you're having to call child protective services and an officer. And so many of the things that we would deal with, and I'm not saying, although we did have a shooting at the library, but I'll tell you that. But so yeah, it's kind of like, yes, real life happens at libraries, and many of the things that I dealt with in libraries I kind of apply to
Amen.
when I'm talking over the phone and trying to get information from people or work them through something. Um, It's the guidance portion of it. I think that the
Yes.
libraries help get me ready
Mhm.
for this job,
Mhm.
guiding people to this, to that, to this, giving me information, getting to a safe place, what have you. This is what we had to do for
Yeah.
libraries.
And I can absolutely attest to that because as you're speaking, I couldn't give you a particular day or time, but one characteristic of your calls, no matter what kind of call it is, you are guiding the person as you now when you first started it was different, right? Because you had to learn how to navigate that. But and I don't do flattery, you know that. But this, I have to give you your flowers because when anybody that listens to LaWanda take calls, you're just like, I imagine this far off. Here's my
Yeah, she told
destination. And LaWanda's like, okay, but now make a right turn. No, 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 you went too far. Back up a few steps. No, no, no. Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to this. Now, when you get to the third step, you're going to step up a little bit. That's literally how it sounds when you are taking your call. So, as you're describing this, like, huh? It makes sense now. It was the library. That's how she does it because it could be murder, death, kill in progress, Armageddon. The world is coming to an end. And LaWanda's like, well, now wait a minute. You said they didn't have a gun. Now they have a gun? And that's just how you say it. Doesn't matter what it is. So, oh my God, there's the closure I've always needed. Thank you for that.
Well, let me give you a little anecdotal story. It was funny. And this goes back to the library back in Detroit. It's funny you say that. That's how I do it. I don't know. That's just how it is because I remember one time uh, there was a woman and she had, I don't know, I think she had like 4 or 5 kids. She was putting herself through school. And, she was struggling, having 4 or 5 kids, taking college classes, working. And she would utilize our computer, in Detroit. We had the same thing, a little library. We had the children's side and adult side, but she
Mhm.
would always sit on the children's side because she would have her kids with her. And she would utilize the lab, the computer lab. And it was funny because she essentially burned her bridges with all of the staff. And when I say, you have those individuals who come in all the time and they're angry and they take it out on the staff. And then the staff are like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal. Well, because I'm the technical training associate for the branch, I don't have the luxury of saying, I'm not going to deal. Not going to deal if somebody has a computer issue. So I went over there and I said, she's like, I need to set up this format. I need to put this together. My professor says he wants these margins and this, that, and the other. And she said, I don't have time. I'm not trying to learn anything. Just set this up for me. So the first time I did that, I said, I'm going to set this up for you. I'm going to put in the margins and everything how your professor wants your paper. I said, but the next time you come in, you're going to do it. So I said, let me show you. She's like, you don't need to show me. Just do it. Just do it. And so I did it. And then, sure enough, a couple of days later or a week later, when she had another paper, she had to set all of this up. I said, because like I said, no other staff would help her. And so I came in and she's like, she called me over. I need you to do the thing that we did last week and blah, blah, blah. I don't have, I said, now look, I said, I'm going to help you, but this is the thing. Me doing it isn't me helping you. Me teaching you how to do it is me helping you.
Mhm.
I said, so what you're going to do if you want me to help you with this paper, I need you to pull out I brought over a piece of paper. I said, here you go, and here's a pen. I want you to write down these steps as I tell you them. And she was huffing and puffing, but to her credit, she wrote down each of the steps and I did it, but I made her write down
Mhm.
the steps. And then, then she was like, ah. And I said, now, next time you come in, I want that piece of paper with you. I want you to fold it up and keep it in your purse. Next time you come in, we will go through the steps. And sure enough, next time she came in, I said, "Where's the piece of paper?" She pulled it out, and we went through the steps for her to set it up. At some point, I never, and I kind of forgot about it, but I didn't hear from her because she would come in, she had her piece of paper, she knew the steps, and she would do it herself. And then, months later, I don't know. She came up to me. She said, "You know what? Several months ago I was dealing with a lot. And I had my kids and I would work and I was trying to get through school." She said, "I have graduated and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for helping me get through that and helping me complete a goal." And, that felt really good,
Yeah.
you know. But I say all that to say that is probably what my process is. When you're calling 911, and for a lot of people, it may feel adversarial because you have people throwing questions at you. Where's your location? What's your name? What's your phone number? But it's not adversarial. I'm trying to help you, and I want to help you as quickly as possible. I want to get this out of the way so we can get to what the problem is.
Hmm.
And sometimes it can feel, depending on your tone or whatever, people will read something into it. Or depending on their emergency, they're not trying to hear, like she wasn't trying to hear,
Hmm.
like, "I just need you to do this. Do this now." So
Hmm.
I kind of think in the same way when people are like, "Just get here. Just get here. I don't want to answer your questions. Ping me. You can find me. I've seen 911, the television show. I know you know exactly where I am. I
Oh.
don't." So then you have to pull teeth. And that's why I say the difference between call taking and dispatch. Dispatch, I think of it as everywhere, everything, all at once.
Hmm.
Because it can go from nothing to everything is happening at all times. And you have 20 different people asking for 28s and 27s. And you got to figure out what voice is this and key up that. But with call taking, it's a different kind of difficulty because you have a person who doesn't understand the process at all. At least with dispatch, you have another person on the line who is with you.
Yeah.
They're with you in this together. And they know, they don't know exactly, which is
Hmm.
why some of them have to come in and listen, but they know that your goals are the same. When
Agree.
you're call taking, the public doesn't know what the goal is. The public just knows, "Hey, I call these digits and you're supposed to help me."
Hmm.
And then you have to say, and I literally have said, help me help you.
Hmm.
You have to understand that we are we don't have opposing goals here.
Yeah.
We are trying to help you get the help you need.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with her. She was like, "I don't want to know." And then I had to bring her, as Yadira likes to say, who's my other guru, um, bring her back to the light and say, "Hey, this is what you're going to do.
Hmm.
You're going to write this down, and every time you come in here, you're going to have that piece of paper."
Yeah.
And she reached her goal. Now we do that, but we do it in a shortened format. That format isn't over weeks. That format is 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Same concept.
So what I'm hearing is for anybody that is considering it, is afraid to, well, I don't have any background. You didn't have this background. I'm not sure I
Nope.
can do it. You weren't sure you could do it,
Yep.
but it's absolutely possible. And the odds are, wherever you have been, whatever job you did before, there's transferable skills.
Absolutely.
There is, I don't think, and tell me if you agree, I don't think that there's any job out there that you've ever done, whoever it is, from working at McDonald's to babysitting to librarian to electrician to whatever, that you can't take those skills and find a way to marry something that you learned there to this. Because
Yeah.
the calm that you had to keep in front of people, and just this one life-changing situation that you had, you applied that all. I can absolutely see that because that's how you take your calls. Like I hear you yelling and screaming and da 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 da. I hear all of that, but here anyway, when you get done with that, let me know. All right, well, I ain't got that kind of time. So here's what we're going to do. It just stays the same. But the LaWanda who first walked in would, and to have you and that one meet right now, that one would never believe that you would get here.
No, because that one was still, and to be clear, I may seem zen now, but I still learn everything every day with this job, learning new ways to do things, new processes, new little hacks and
Hmm.
skills, which I find fascinating. And one of the things I enjoy about the job is I don't feel like I'm dragging in. Like after 27 years of working in a library, there's nothing you could tell me. It was old hat. And it was a situation of dragging myself into work. It became drudgery. This, I haven't hit that. Now, I can't say anything for you guys because y'all have many, many more years under the belt. So for you all may be hitting where I was feeling, but everything is just still brand new and bright and shiny.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested and happy. And even, when people, and they will curse you out and they will call you everything but a child of God,
Hmm.
um, it's still fascinating to me. The whole process
Yeah.
and the whole thing is fascinating to me. So I never feel like I don't want to go to work, like I do, whereas before I was dragging. But yeah, you can apply, especially in customer service fields.
Hmm.
You can definitely apply those skills. It's almost a one-to-one. It's
Hmm.
just like I said, the added thing of life or death. Now, in this case, for her, the story I told you, this was her life. She was trying to make a transition in her life, get that degree so she could get a better job, so she could provide for her family.
Hmm.
But it's the same kind of situation where she was interested in her goals and she wasn't interested in being taught to get to her
Hmm.
goal. It's the same thing. We just do it in a shortened format, minutes instead of months,
Hmm.
So but I think anybody, like you said, McDonald's, what have you, anytime you're dealing with the customer, you can use those customer service skills
Hmm.
and apply them to call taking.
Absolutely.
And I think so. We kind of talked about the first hurdle that a lot of people have is the technology hurdle of seeing all those monitors. And we talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
the second hurdle, which is sort of the skill set hurdle of like, how do we, or how can I take my skills that I have and move them to this job? I think the third hurdle that people generally have when they're thinking about applying or not applying to these kind of jobs is, how are these life and death calls going to affect me? Like, am I going to be able to survive through hearing people die, people in bad car accidents, people doing X, Y, and Z? So, I guess how has that affected you, and how have you managed to try and overcome those feelings when you have some negative calls? Because I think that's kind of the last hurdle that people generally have when they're thinking about joining the industry.
Um, that one, of all the questions or all of the components, is probably the most difficult one because, what it's basically what you can handle or what you can carry.
Mhm.
Some people cannot carry being disrespected, and you're gonna be disrespected almost on a daily basis because you're dealing with people, like I said, they're myopic in the fact that you need to help me. I don't need to conform to you. And you're trying to get information from them, and they're like, why are you not helping me now? So they will, like I said, call you everything but a child of God. Some people can't deal with that. I can deal with that. Why? Once again, in libraries. I had to listen to people curse me out. And, I had a guy was funny. He was like, I told him he had to leave, what have you, and he was like, I'll get somebody to come up here. I don't hit women, but I'll get someone up here. I know some girlfriends, and they'll come and handle you. I said, well, you can call them and get that started. In the meantime, I need you to leave the branch or we're going to call 911 and have you forcibly removed. To his credit, he left the branch. No one came up to the branch to
Yay.
handle me. I had another guy. He was like, uh, he was being flirtatious or what have you, and I wasn't interested. And I said, no, I'm sorry, but blah blah blah. And he said, oh, you must not like men, huh? And I said, no, I like men just fine. I just don't like you. And then he just went absolutely crazy. I mean, you asked, you made an assumption, and I just corrected your assumption. But I say all that to say that, yes, people are going to say things to you. How you deal with that is something that you have to work through. I personally have a good foundation on. I'm very secure in who I am. So you calling me every name you can think of, one, I've already heard it and to my face, not just over the phone.
Mhm.
And two, in many cases, just like the woman who was just like very rough with everyone, which is why they didn't want to help her. I understand that in many cases, you're under stress.
Mhm.
So I'm just a sounding board. I'm just the wall that you're throwing things at. You're
Nice.
not really saying that to me. You don't know me
Wow.
to want to hurt me. And so I take that into account. Like, now, I'm not saying it always works well. I had a recent call where this woman, she was just, it was mainly the chanting that really got to me because she was just like a wall. She didn't want to hear it. She just, give me help, give me help, get me help. And there's not really much you can do when someone's chanting like that. But for the most part, that's a minute, like 0.001 situation. Most of it is I'm yelling at you because I don't know what to do. I'm under stress, but I don't know you to really, actually hurt you. And
Hmm.
that's the mindset you have to have. You can't, what do they say? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
Hmm.
That's this job in a complete nutshell. You have to believe, okay, this person is using you as a sounding board. You're a sounding board for their frustration,
Hmm.
whatever it may be, life or death, or someone broke into my car.
Hmm.
Because you say, oh, they broke into a car. Now, until you've had your car broken into, that doesn't sound like a big thing. But when you come back to your baby having a brick thrown through the window, yeah, everything, I don't care about the 5 car rollover you have on I-35. My baby was ruined. They threw a brick through her. So, but why aren't you helping me, you stupid? Blah, 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 blah. You're a sounding board for frustration because they can't talk to the person or beat up the person that threw the brick through their window. So you're the person. And if you go through that mindset of understanding that, Most of this stuff, I'm not saying all, there's going to be that 0.01% that will get you, and it'll happen and you won't know it. But most of that fly off your shoulders. You
Yeah,
won't care.
yeah. Well said. Very well
Yes,
said.
very, very well said indeed. And I think we're probably out of time by now, but you've given us a lot of really great information, LaWanda,
Yes.
and I've learned a lot of interesting things about you. So I'm very thankful that you came on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I feel enlightened. And no, seriously, some really good nuggets, things that Gary and I can say, um, in in this vein here, and it doesn't hit the same as someone who is telling you, look, I had that midlife crisis and changed careers, and I'm telling you that in a lot of ways it's not nearly as bad as you think. Yes, it will be scary, but the reward outweighs the struggle. And
Oh, yeah.
just major nuggets about dealing with some of the stressful calls. And we know that, the mental health component is a very serious thing and it's very real. But the things that don't affect your complete and total mental health, but just may get under your skin. You gave some brilliant ways of thinking about that. You're the sounding board. You're just literally
Yeah.
the wall they're throwing things at because they can't go get the fool that broke their
Yeah.
baby. So
Yeah. It's
beautifully
it's
said.
true. It's true. It's like I said, as far as the death portion, like I've had calls where people are like, "This is where you pick up the body," and they set down the phone, and then you find a body later. It's those things. Once again, you have to find a process for yourself, like to not internalize that situation. Once again, you were just, hey, you're the sounding board. You're gonna write this down, and you're gonna send somebody out to handle this. You can't say, well, what could I have done better or what have you. I'm not saying you shouldn't learn certain skills to, try to talk to somebody, but sometimes people don't want to talk to you, and it's not you. It's not how you answered the phone. It's not how you couldn't say anything. They'd made up their mind.
Mhm.
The other thing of that is there are plenty of resources. I mean, a plethora, like almost too many resources
Mhm.
that Austin Police Department give to their people. One, you have Frontline, Gary, Erica, and other people who immediately, when you have those hard calls, y'all are on it. Y'all come on, hey, you okay? What's going on? Do you need to get off this phone? Do you want to sit down somewhere? Have you? And it's like, it's it's nice. It feels nice that there's that level of concern there. Many times I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. You sure? You sure we can pull you off and let you decompress, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, no. But it's nice that somebody is like, hey, I heard that call or I saw that call, and look, your mental is very important to us. Go and sit down somewhere. Do you need to take a day off? And you have those options. And then you have even further, you have counseling and all of those things. So this job is not a job where you're a lone ship off by yourself and you have to try to figure out. No, this job is very much a collaborative effort, and everyone is looking out for you. You're not just going to be thrown to the wolves. So all those screens and all that intimidation, when you tamp that down and you get that down, and then you start talking about the mental and the dealing in life and death, you're definitely not going to be alone. You're going to have so many resources to help you through that process and help you manage whatever, you know, possible whatever problems you may have, or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, I guess I guess that's just it. Someone will help you through the process of dealing with those struggles or your mental
Mhm.
anguish or problems with a bad call or what have you. I have never in, what is it, 3 years now? I have never felt like um, there was nothing I couldn't handle because I always know that I have this team of people behind me who are like concerned about how I'm doing.
Mhm.
So I don't know a better way of saying that, but there's
Well
a
said.
huge support system that you can utilize. You should never feel like um, it's just me and the caller. No, it's you and 20 other people behind you supporting you.
Very
Beautifully
well
said.
said. Yeah. Very, very, very well said. And we very much appreciate you coming on and giving us so many well said words. I think that you had a lot of really good points from places I wasn't even expecting them to come from. But uh, you,
Really?
yeah, you did an excellent job, LaWanda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
And thank you all for joining us this week as well. We hope that you found our interview with LaWanda to be edifying, uplifting, and maybe even learn some things. And if you are thinking about joining the profession, perhaps she was able to put some of your fears to rest with her insights on her own experiences that she had the last few years. But if you have any questions or comments, you can always reach us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. From all of us at Lifeline 911, I'm Gary,
I'm Erica.
and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.